everyone, and welcome to our video tutorial for this Strawberry Patch cat bandana that you can see Melba wearing here. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so to make this Strawberry Patch bandana, you'll need some yarn. Now, you're probably going to go for green and red for your strawberries, and then you need a background colour. So that's what this pale pink is here. These two here are about a 3 weight, and they're a wool acrylic blend. This one here is about a 5 weight, and it's again a wool acrylic blend with a metallic thread through it. So I'm choosing to make my strawberries fat, juicy strawberries. So that's why I've gone for this thicker weight yarn. Now you can choose not to do that, and let's just show you the one that I've made previously. So my strawberries are quite fat and juicy, as you can see there, and I like them like that. You might want to choose a finer weight yarn for your red to make your strawberries smaller. And I'm also going to show you as we move through, I'll show you a way to make the strawberries even smaller if you want them to be, okay? I just like them quite elevated and prominent. Like I said, fat, juicy strawberries, my favourite kind. So, yeah, so that's how I've done it. Now, you'll need a crochet hook that corresponds to your yarn, and I've chosen one that's in between what I would need normally for these 3 yarns. I've got a 4mm. It's slightly large for my 3 weight yarn and slightly small for my 5 weight yarn, but, you know, falls in the middle. You'll need some scissors and a darning needle to snip off your ends and weave in your ends. And you'll need an optional tape measure for taking a measurement of your cat's neck circumference. Now, as I said, that's optional. I'll include a guide to standard cat neck sizes in the description box below. You can refer to that and ballpark it. Because this is a tie-up bandana, you don't need an exact measurement. You can just, you know, as long as you've got a general idea of what your cat's neck size is, then you can, you know, create ties to accommodate that. So let's move on to the stitches and techniques you'll need. Okay, so to make this bandana, you'll need to know how to slip knot onto your hook, how to create a chain, how to double crochet, so the background is mainly double crochet. Also in the background above the strawberries, we've got a single crochet. In these strawberries, we've got, they're all double crochets to actually make the strawberry, and then this part here we're going to single crochet 6 together, depending on the size that you choose to make your strawberries. So we just work single crochets together in each of the gaps between the stitches that you use. So as I said earlier, you can vary the size of the strawberries, and that's how you'll do it. You'll vary the number of stitches you put into your strawberries. Okay, so I'll remind you about that again later. Now to make the top part and the ties, we'll be just making a chain and slip stitching back down. Now along the neck here, you can choose what stitch you use. You can either use a double crochet to blend in with the rest of the background, or you can use a half double crochet. I've gone for just a single crochet, okay? And that will depend how your strawberries are spaced, how big you want your bandana to be, okay? Now, I also wanted to show you a little diagram that I've made of the stitch sequence. Okay, so I've got this here, and I will make I'll make a copy of this available through a link, okay? So I've just shown you the stitch sequence for the strawberries. So we'll be starting down at the base here. So we start with 7 stitches. And then in the next row, we'll make our first strawberry. So you can see here the key. So the red crosses, the big ones, are strawberries. Double crochet is the black. Single crochet is the stitch that's above each strawberry in green. And then you've got areas where we'll be tying off and tying back on again. Okay, so this is the blue, tying off. We'll be tying on again at the beginning of the next row. Okay, because we don't want to go all the way back. We want to just start over on this side. Okay, so yeah, so this one here, this diagram is bigger than the one I've made. So I just wanted to go for a few extra rows in case you're using yarn that's quite a lot finer than mine and you want to know how to add 4 strawberries into the next row, okay? And beyond that, I'll have to leave you to work it out on your own. So I've gone to a bigger size than this to accommodate you if you've got a finer weight yarn than mine, okay? So I've gone to the 4 strawberries. Today I'll only be going as far as the 3 strawberries, same as I've done here, okay? If I went any further with the yarn weight that I've got, it'll just be too big for Melba. Okay, so you can access that. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description box below, just so you can follow along and know the spacing for your stitches and where your strawberries will go in each of those strawberry rows. So the strawberries, except for at the base here, at the beginning here, the strawberries are in every 3rd row, okay? So we've got our starting row, then our strawberry row, and then we've got 1, 2, and every 3rd row is a strawberry row, okay? So I think that's all I'll say about that for now. And yeah, let's get started on the tutorial. Oh, and I just wanted to mention that you'll have a lot of tails to weave in at the end. Okay, so you'll need to know how to weave in your tails and finish off your project. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so starting with your background colour, we're going to make a slip knot onto the hook. Now, just a reminder, I don't run through these basic techniques in any great detail, so if you need to brush up on anything before you get started, then please do. So from here we're going to chain 4, 2, 3 and 4, and we're going to place a slip knot into that very first chain to create a little ring. Okay, so not the one close to the hook, the one close to the knot. We're going to, make a slip stitch in there, and that will give us a little ring. Now, if you're not, you're a beginner and you haven't done this technique before, just make sure that you're working, when we start to work our stitches, make sure you find the very center of that little ring, okay? And that's where we're going to work into. So for row 1, let's chain 3, and that will count as a double crochet, okay? And then we're going to place 6 more double crochets into the center of the ring. Okay, so make sure you've located the center of the ring. Go into the ring and place your 6 more double crochets, which will give us a total of 7 double crochets, counting the chain. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 more, 5 and 6. And 7. Okay, now you can just gently pull on your tail end, which might just close your ring slightly, but you don't want to close it too much because we don't want this area to be too tight. Okay, we want to maintain the nice flat aspect to our bandana. Okay, so if you're referring to the stitch sequence, we've started down here and worked our way across this first row, 7 stitches. So now our next row is going to be our first strawberry row. Okay, so you can see from here we've got 4 double crochets until we start our strawberry, and then we've got 4 on the other side as well. Okay, so we also have to increase our bandana, so to get that bandana shape. So we're going to chain 3 here, and as I said, that counts as a stitch, so that's one of our 4 stitches already. Turn your work around, and then in that same first stitch under the chain we're going to place another double crochet, so that gives us our increase, okay, in that first stitch. Then, so we've got our 2 stitches there. Our next one is our 3rd, so double crochet in that stitch here. Now in the 4th stitch we're going to start our double crochet, so stop when you've got your 2 loops on your hook, and now we're going to change to our strawberry color. Okay, so take your strawberry, whatever color, whatever you're using for your strawberry color, and you're going to finish off that double crochet with your new color. Okay, Now, just gently pull on those ends. So that's how I change colour. If you've got a different way to do it, then by all means, you know, do it a different way. That's how I do it, okay? Now, we're going to carry our background colour through. The tail can stay behind, but carry your whatever is the equivalent to your pink through. And we're going in our next stitch here, so you can see on the diagram, we're creating our strawberry here in the center. So we're going to place 7 double crochets into that next stitch. Okay, make sure you're carrying your pink tail through, or your background tail through. So 7 double crochets into that next stitch. Now, if you want smaller strawberries, you can place, you know, 5 or 6 stitches. Okay, so however big you want your strawberries to be, you can adjust them. So if I wanted slightly smaller strawberries, I could just add 6 double crochets here. But I'm going to make the same as I made before, so I'm going to add 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you've got some leeway in adjusting the size of your strawberries. Okay, so we've created this sort of fan shape with our double crochets in that next stitch. So now we're going to take our top of the strawberry colour. So for most of us it'll be green. And what we're going to do is we're going to just pull out this loop. Insert your hook into the first stitch, the first double crochet in the strawberry, and then come and hook your hook back through that last loop. Okay, and then we're going to pull up our green. Okay, so leave the tail behind you, pull through with your green. Okay, so you're here. Now we're going to work this single crochet together. So it's going to be, if you've got 7 stitches here, it's going to be single crochet 6 together. If you've got 6 stitches, it'll be single crochet 5 together. Okay, so this is a little bit fiddly and it might take you a little bit to get used to it, but by the time you've done a few strawberries, you'll get used to it. So find the gap in between your first 2 stitches and pull up a loop. Okay, now don't worry if this loop is loose for now. We can tighten that up. Go into the next space between your stitches and pull up a loop. The next space, pull up a loop. The next space, pull up a loop. The next space, pull up a loop. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1 more. Okay. So you'll end up with 7 loops on your hook if you've got 7 stitches. Okay. And then you're just going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops. And then chain 1 to secure. Okay, now pop out your strawberry and you'll see that you've got that strawberry shape. And now what you can do is pull on these tail ends to get your strawberry nice and well shaped. Okay, now what you can do here, now if you want to just carry your tails through, you can, but I don't advise it. Okay, most likely you're going to be able to see the red through your work, and that's probably not the best idea. And also it gets all a bit confusing with all the different strands. So what I do here is I cut off those 2 colours, keep them aside ready for my next strawberry, and then pick up your background colour that you've carried through, and we're going to slip stitch into the top. So make sure this strand sort of sits behind your strawberry, okay? And pull through. Okay, and then once again just give your tail ends a little bit of a tug, and then we're going to find that next stitch. So remember, we've got 4 stitches on this side, so we need 4 stitches on this side. So we're going to double crochet into that next stitch. Now if you're finding that you just don't have enough height with a double crochet, you can adjust that to a single crochet. But for me, as long as you pull that that stitch quite nice and tight, it should be okay, because you want it to kind of pull your strawberry into the strawberry shape. Okay, and then double crochet in the next stitch, so that's 2 stitches, and then into the top of the chain we're going to place 2 double crochets, and that will accommodate our increase and our last 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Okay, so just to go back to here, this stitch on the side of the strawberry, on the second side of the strawberry, you can make that a triple crochet in place of a double crochet if you just don't have enough height. Okay, that's just an option, but the pattern is a double crochet. So just bear that in mind. You can make those adjustments if you need to. So that's our row 2 and our first strawberry row. Okay, now we're moving on to row 3. So we've just got to remember, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches until we get to the top of the strawberry. And then above the strawberry we're going to be single crochet, making a single crochet, and then we've got our 5 stitches to the end of the row. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So chain your 3, chain your 3 and turn, and place your first stitch under the chain in that first stitch, so you've got your 2 stitches at the beginning there, and then you've got your next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Now once again, just check the tension on your stitches. If you need to pull these tails as you go, then it's best to kind of do it before you move on from the strawberry. So we've got 1, 2, 1 more stitch, that one right next to the strawberry. And then on top of our strawberry, so you want to find, see here how you've got this here, this is your stitch together. So you want to get right on the top of the strawberry and single crochet into the top of the strawberry. Okay, now it's a little bit hard to see because I've got all these tails here, but you want to get a single crochet right in the top there, and then move on to the first pink stitch on the other side. 1, 2 and 3. So remember, we've got 5 stitches on this other side as well, and then in the top of the chain 2 double crochets. Okay, so put it right in the top of the chain, otherwise you're going to shorten that edge a little bit and it might misshape your bandana. So you want it to be lying relatively flat by the time we finish off. So just remember to work right into the top of the chain so you're not losing any of that length. Okay, so that's row 3 done. Now, if you remember what I said at the beginning, we're placing strawberry rows in every 3rd row. Okay, so our next strawberry row is yet 1 row away. So what we're going to do is work 1 more row and then we're going to tie off. Okay, so 1 more row of double crochets with our increases at either end. So we're chaining our 3 and then double crochet in that first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of those stitches along until you get to the chain at the end, and then you'll place your 2 double crochets in the top of the chain. Okay, so just working 1 double crochet all the way along, in 1 in each stitch. Now I'm just going to finish off this row off camera. Place your 2 double crochets in the top of your chain and I'll meet you and we'll tie off together. Okay, so there we've got our first section with our first strawberry. So because we don't want another row back, we are going to tie off here. So just yarn over, pull through, and you can snip off that end, and then we're going to tie on to this other side. Okay, so I'll show you how I tie on, but if you do it a different way, then please go ahead and do that. So you want to tie into the top of the chain, So insert your hook in the top of the chain. Try and get two loops if you can. There we go. And then I just do this pretty much the same way as when I'm changing colour. So I just pull up my yarn and secure it with a chain. And just tighten that. And then I'm going to chain my 3 from there. 1, 2, and 3. Now you can count that first chain if you want to. I want my bandana to be nice and flat, so I'm going to chain an extra 3 on top of that, okay? So just so I can tighten that up nicely. Now you can work in your tail end in here if you want to. I don't tend to because I like to just focus on making the strawberries. Okay, so I just focus on one thing at a time. So we're moving on to our 5th row here, which is a strawberry row. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches before our first strawberry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in between the 2 strawberries, our next strawberry, and then 4 stitches. Okay. So place your double crochet in that first stitch, and then if you need to tighten that change, tighten it again as well. So as we said, we've got 4 stitches before our strawberry, so this will be number 3 and then number 4. But remember, just before we get to our strawberry, we need to change our colour. So we're changing to our red, pull through, and then just tighten those ends. And remember to carry your pink through, just leave your red tail behind, ready for sewing in later. And then we're placing our 7 or however many you've chosen to go ahead and place into the next stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and place my 7 double crochets into my next stitch. You do the same and I'll meet you and we'll run through one more time how to create this top part of the strawberry, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and follow this chart and make your bandana either to this area here, which is where I'm making mine, which is actually this row here. So I'll be doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. If you want to, you can continue for another 3 rows, okay, if you need to for your bandana size. So we're going to use your chart, follow, so just remember wherever there's a blue cross, you'll be tying off there. That actually counts as a stitch, okay, so those, whether they're coloured blue or yellow, they count as a stitch, but it's where you tie off and you tie on again, okay. So like I said, I'll come back after I've done these 7 double crochets and we'll just do this little area again, and then I'm going to let you go off on your own and finish off your bandana. So I'll meet you shortly. Okay, so I've got my 7 double crochets there. I'm picking up my green and pulling out my hook, inserting my hook into that first stitch. So just make sure you don't miss that first one. Into the first one and then back into the last one, and then I will pull through my green, and then I'm going to do that in between. So in between, pull up a loop, in between the stitches, pull up a loop, and this gives that nice sort of strawberry head look. And however many stitches you've got is however many. So it gets a little bit tricky down here, okay, so it's a little bit fiddly, but just make sure you're not pulling too tight on the loops, so you can, that's why I'm giving them a little tug in between. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because I've got 7 stitches, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all of them, chain 1 to secure, and then I'll pop out my strawberry. Okay. Now I'll snip off my 2 ends, and then I'll go back to my pink and pull through a loop. Just make sure that that pink sort of sits behind the strawberry, And then, as you'll remember that I said, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches until our next strawberry in this 5th row. So just remember to change colour on your 5th stitch, make your strawberry, and then you'll have 4 stitches to the end of this row. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to carry on from here. So have your chart, refer to that, and just make your strawberries in exactly the same way as you've done these previous 2. So just make sure you don't miss that stitch right next to the strawberry. It can be a little bit hidden sometimes. Okay, so pull that stitch a little bit tighter if you need to. Tidy up your strawberry before you move on. Just pull on those stitches, those ends behind, just so your stitches are nice and, nice and taut and neat. And then you'll move on from there. So that's my 2 stitches, 3, 4, and I'm going to create my strawberry after this 5th stitch. So I'm going to change colour here. Okay, so you continue on and I'll meet you once I've finished mine, which will be the same size as this. Okay, so I'm just going to go to this 3 strawberries here. Okay, so I'll see you shortly. Okay, so now I just want to mention down at this end where you've tied on can be a little bit tricky. Okay, so you've got your 2 stitches and then make sure that you're working into that chain as well. Okay, so those last 2 stitches in this row goes into the top of the chain. So it can seem like you haven't got enough space there sometimes, but just make sure that you're working into that chain and remembering to count it as a stitch. Okay, so we're still getting our increases there. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Okay, just to show you once again how to work into the top of that strawberry, you can see that in this particular one it's very clear. Okay, so you can see where you work that single crochet into the top of that strawberry. Okay, right at the top there. Okay, so just to remind you there, and then just remember this next stitch, this double crochet onto the side there, you just want to pull that one a little bit tighter than you normally would. Okay, and then I'll just finish off this row. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so I've made to where I want to go, and so just to remind you that the stitch sequence, I've gone to this row here, and then you can add an extra 3 rows if you want to, and if you want to go beyond that for the sizing, then I'll leave you to work out your spacing of strawberries on your own, but you'll just follow a similar pattern to what we've got here. Okay, so we're going to now start our chain for the ties. Okay, so you'll just work out how long you need your ties to be. So taking into account, look at all these tails at the back here. So taking into account your cat's neck circumference, the length you've got across the top of the bandana already, and then how long you want your ties to be. So I'm probably going to chain around 50 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure you're counting your chains as you go. And I'll meet you once I get to the end of my chain. And like I said, I'm going for around the sort of 50 to 60 chain mark. But you'll work out how, according to your hook size, your yarn size, your cat size, how long you need this tie to be. So this first tie. So, of course, we're then going to make a second tie on the other side. So, make all those calculations and chain to the length you need. Okay, so I've got my chain there, and I'm just going to chain an extra one as a turning chain, and then I'm just going to slip stitch down the length of my chain. Okay, now just keep, do your slip stitches, but have a little think about how you want to finish up along the neckline of this bandana, because you can kind of finish this however you want to. Now, because I've already got a decent, on my bandana, I've already got a decent amount of height for Melba. I don't need to really add much more height to the bandana. So I'm going to do the same as what I did here. Okay, so all I've done is I've slip stitched all the way down my chain. In these last 3 chains, I've placed single crochets. and then I've continued my single crochet all the way along, and then I've chained for my other side, slip stitched back, 3 single crochets in those last 3 chains, well, one in each chain, and then I've slip stitched to the side. So think about what stitch you want to use across the top here. Now, if, for example, you wanted to use a half double crochet, for example, what I would advise you to do is slip stitch all the way down until you get to your 6th to last chain, and then I would do 3 single crochets, 3 half double crochets, and then half double crochet across here. And then, chain, and mirror, and do the same here. If you want to add a row of double crochets along the top, if you want a little bit of extra height, then leave your last 9 chains. So once you get to, you've slip stitched, you get to your 9th to last chain, I would do 3 single crochets, 3 half double crochets, and then 3 double crochets, and then continue the double crochets across the top. Repeat for the second tie. Okay, so you've got a few different options of how you want to finish this off. So if you want some extra height here, you've got the opportunity to add it. Okay, I don't need it, so I'm just going to single crochet. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do what I've just described. So leaving my last 3 stitches for last 3 chains, for 3 single crochets. I'm going to single crochet all the way along the top here. I'm going to repeat the process for my second chain, and I'll meet you and we'll finish off down here together, slip stitching our second chain into the side of the work. Okay, so you choose one of those options that I've just described for how to make your ties and your neck line, and I'm going to do the same, and I'll meet you when I get back here. Okay, just a reminder, so I've just worked my single crochets along my neckline there, and just a reminder to work into that chain. Okay, your chain always counts as a stitch, so remember to work into that chain on this other side before you start chaining for your tie. Okay, I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, I'm at the base of my second tie here, and I'm just placing my last single crochet in the end of my chain. Now you want to just turn this towards you so you can slip stitch into the side here. Okay, so just into the side of your work, so the edge of the tie lines up with your work there, and then you can just yarn over and pull through and snip off your end. So now we're going to, you want to go back and just shape each strawberry. Make sure you've got each strawberry shaped how you want it to be shaped, and you can do that just by pulling on the ends a little, and then just by popping out your strawberries. So go ahead and do that on all of your strawberries. I'm going to go and do mine and make sure they're all how I want them to be. And then of course we've got all these ends to weave in. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just gonna go and make sure my strawberries, see how they already look much better, they're more uniform along the top there. This one's a little bit wide. I just need to sort these ones out. So just shape your strawberries how you want them to be, and I'll be back once I've done mine, and we'll talk about how, we'll talk about weaving in these ends and tidying up and finishing the project. So I'll see you soon. Okay, so now I've got all my strawberries pretty uniform there. So we're just going to start to weave in all these ends. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. What I tend to do is I tend to do the 2 green ones together if I can, because they're smaller and I can do them together, so that saves me just a little bit of work. And I'll show you what I do there. So I just make them the same length, and then we're just going to sort of weave them down into the back of the strawberry. So I put my needle in first where I want them to go, and then I'll just thread my needle with the 2 ends, because I've got a nice big eye and I can do these 2 at once, and then I just pull them through, Now, if you want to, you can go back again. I don't feel like I need to. I'm gonna feel like that's secure enough, and I'm just gonna snip off at the back there. Okay. Now you can leave, because it's just at the back, you can leave a little, you know, just a little tail at the end. And then of course you'll do the same with your red, and if you've got smaller yarn you can probably do those together as well. Mine are too big to do together. So I'm just going to go back through here, weave into the back, pull that through, and then snip off that end. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of these. I'm not going to leave a little tail. I'm going to just leave that quite flush. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of the strawberries. And then of course you've also got these tail ends here, the pink tail ends from where you've tied on and tied off. So I'm just going to, with these ones, these will just easily go into the stitches along in the back here. So you'll just weave in. I'm assuming that you know how to weave in an end. So you'll just go through the stitches, just in the back of the work. Go down once. Just try not to pull things too tight so you're not misshaping anything. And then double back. So never doubling back exactly where you've come. You want to just jump over or scoot to the side and weave your way down. And you can go backwards, forwards 2 or 3 times. For me, twice is enough. And then you'll just snip off that end. And then so you'll just go ahead and finish off all of those ends. And unfortunately for this project, we've got lots of ends to deal with. But I think it's worth it because the strawberries look super cute. So I'm gonna pause here and weave in all my tail ends. And actually, just to mention this bottom tail end, you can just, so we left plenty of room here so we could, you know, we wouldn't misshape the bandana. You can tighten that up a little bit with your tail end if you want to. If you've got a little gap here, which I've got there, if I just open up my yarn, I've got a little gap there, and I can just tighten that up with my tail end. So do a little bit of hand sewing, finish off your ends, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so there's my finished bandana. So kind of cute for spring, summer, strawberry season. And I've been wanting to make something with strawberries for a while, and with bandana month I thought, oh, let's try a bandana with strawberries on it. So this is kind of how it turned out. So sometimes I just run with an idea and see how it works, and you know, then film it. That's kind of how it works around here. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've loved this one. My husband thinks this is super cute, and I do too. So please send along your photos to catventurous.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at catventurous.crochet. I always love to see your photos, the creative spin that you've put onto these patterns, how it's turned out for you. I'd love to meet your cat, of course. I'm a huge cat lover if you haven't figured that out already. So thanks very much, and we hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.